Hi everyone, this is Danielle, also known as Gently Smiling Jaws, and welcome to my Flosstube. Since my last video, I had sort of a stretch where the motivation just wasn't there. So in some ways I haven't done a lot of stitching, but I have made progress on one on kind of the main big project that I'm working on, and then I've made a bit of progress on some smaller things as well. So we will go into that, but I will start off with, I'll talk about tea first, and this will be brief because in my previous video I had mentioned going to a nearby bubble tea place when I've had boba in the past, but I'm not like a boba connoisseur, and it's not something I tend to have a lot. But now that there's this place near me, I had managed to stay away for a number of weeks, but then I had an errand to run near the area, so I ended up going there and picking up some more. What I picked up this last time was their an ube bubble tea with the taro balls in it, and that was quite delicious. And you know, it's something I'm not going to be doing all the time because, you know, I have plenty of tea at home, and of course when you're getting something in a store like that, it's extra, you know, sugary and sweet and delicious. And when I have tea at home, it's just straight tea. I'm not really adding anything else to it, but once in a while it's quite delicious. So that's my tea portion for this video. And then I wanted to give another quick update on my one eSIM that I am kind of continuing to you know, keep an eye on and top up as I can to keep it going. There was another stretch, and this happened a while back, where there was no movement of data on it for a couple days, and I was starting to get a little worried. But now the data has started to slowly start creeping up again, and it's not in the leaps and bounds that it had been before, but there is movement, and I do have another, you know, kind of, it's been topped up. There's some extra data sort of waiting in the wings, and I'm just keeping an eye to kind of keep that one going. And as I did before, I'll just, you know, I'll leave the information on the eSIMs, the link down in the description, so if you're interested you can go and check that out and donate if you would like to. All right, on to my stitching. I don't have anything finished this time, but you know, one of my whips actually is, it's a whip and a new start, because it's the next part of the airmail stamp. So I wasn't going to do that one first, but now I am. So you will see that up in the corner up here, this is that February airmail stamp that I had finished, and I started in on the March one. And since the outline of the stamp isn't green, I wanted to make sure to get one of those little, you know, clovers done so that it felt like March and St. Patrick's Day, because this video, although I'm filming it beforehand, this will be going up on St. Patrick's Day, I believe. So I wanted to get a little green in there. So you can't really see with how it's in the Q-snap right now, but if you've seen their videos, I'm working on a book of stamps using the airmail stamp patterns from Lindy Stitches airmail series, and they're still coming out. So this is going to be a page where, and because it's in the Q-snap you can't see it, but I have a border of doing a blue and red feather border, and so it sort of looks like the red and blue on the edge of those, you know, like airmail envelopes. And then this first page will have January, the January stamp there, which I believe isn't going to come out till January of 2025. So this will be the last one. And the February stamp, which I finished, is there. This is March, which I'm working on right now. And then April is And I think April is not out yet, but it should be released in April. So I don't know what it's going to look like, but this first, page of my book of stamps will have those 4 on it. So this is both a new start for this particular pattern as well as just a continuation of what's going to be a larger work in progress. And I'm still figuring out the details of exactly how I want to finish everything, but my goal was I liked all the, airmail patterns that had currently been released. I wanted to do them all, but I also didn't want to, frame all of them or necessarily have all of them on the wall. So I was trying to think of a way where I could, what I could do with them, because even though the little pillow finishes that Stephanie of Lindy Stitches has, and how they're shown in the patterns, those are adorable, but I also didn't personally want a bunch of little pillows around. So this was sort of my solution, was to do these into a book-like format, the details of which are still being kind of worked out. So that's still to come. But I'm stitching this on the 40 count fabric. It's a Fox and Rabbit white clay, and I like the size that these come out as. It's a nice little size, and not too big, but like when I finished the February one, it's like, oh, it's sort of a nice accomplishment to have something finished and it's all done there. But I've still got more to do, but I'm liking the size. So this counts as my new start and a whip. So that is there, and I think let's see, how far am I into this now? About 550 stitches or so. Yeah, it's about 550 stitches. So that's where I am on that one. Next is the Modern Folk Embroidery Cell, No Time Like the Present. This is what, and I didn't even finish the strand that I had been working on, but this is where I am right now. Last time I showed it, I still have a lot more to do on this side of things, but I've focused on this side. I'm trying, and I think I'm not quite there yet, trying to go as far down as I need to for the March section on this side. So I've got more to do here, and then I'll move over to that. So I'm certainly still behind, because I think even with the chunk of work that I put in, particularly this past weekend, I am still not to where I needed to be as far as February stitches. So I am playing catch up. I don't know that I will fully be caught up this month or not. I'm not going to push myself unnecessarily to get things done, but I made a significant chunk of progress last weekend, and I was pretty happy about that, and I enjoyed my time stitching. That's the thing, is I want to keep this fun, and right now that's still happening, so that's good. Like I said, I'm gonna work to bring this down as far as I need to. Right now I'm filling in this here, and then I'll shift this on the hoop and get over to the other side. I thought when I was doing this side of the border, I thought I had gone, I thought I'd done what I need to, gotten as far down as I was going to get on that side, and then I started doing more stitching over here, and at some point I looked down at this and thought, I screwed up one of those little things on the, I think it was on one of the diamond ones. I looked down and I hadn't done the point, and I had moved on to the next bit, so I had to frog one of the shapes out, and I haven't fully gone back down where I needed to. But yeah, it's amazing how sometimes you just do something and then you look down at it and you realize that's wrong, that's gotta go. And I'm glad that I caught it before moving on, because I would hate to have my border be off by that and not notice until significantly later, because that would be a real pain to go and fix. So aside from that, and luckily I didn't have to frog, you know, too much at all to get that fixed. I am continuing along, making progress. I'm thinking that, you know, and this is kind of what Nithya had mentioned, that I mentioned in this video, where she had, you know, suggested maybe, you know, kind of focusing on this, on if it was focusing on the weekends or during the week, and then doing other stuff that I wanted during the other times. And I think I've kind of shifted to that a little bit, because I do want to continue making progress on this, but if it comes down to can't work on anything else until you get caught up on this, then I start to resent working on this, and I don't want that to happen. So far, so good, because I'd worked on this, and then I started in on the airmail one, so I got a chunk started on that. And then I also did a little bit more on another project. I was trying to decide what project I wanted to work on, and I was thinking about a few things, but I ended up grabbing Strawberry Bird. And I think that was partially because I had, there were some leaves where I had done the outlines and just needed to fill in the dark green. And so I haven't done a ton more on this. I did some fill-in of leaves and these two little strawberries and this larger strawberry, and I haven't fully finished those. There's some stitches inside them that I need to do. But it was nice to see some progress, even if it wasn't a ton. It was only about 200 stitches or so. And I had intended to get more done, but I worked on this a little bit just these past couple days, and it's just after the time change for daylight saving time. And the one in the fall, when you fall back and you get that hour back, that's great, perfect, happy about it. I don't care that it gets darker, I just want that hour back. This change, the springing forward, sure, it's great to have some extra light outside, but that 1 hour just completely screws me up. It is so hard to wake up, and it throws me off, and I'm still not feeling back to normal yet. I just hope that sometime, you know, the government will finally just pick a time and stick with it, because I hate changing the time. But that's what we got to do. So anyway, I was off kilter because of the time change, and I would sit down to work on this, and I would get, you know, a little bit done, and I was happy seeing some progress, and then I would just start falling asleep. My eyes would be closing, and I'm like, I can't focus on this anymore. So haven't made too much progress on this, and I don't know that I'm going to go back to it again just yet. I may set this back aside, and the next time I pull out something that's not either No Time Like the Present or Airmail, I may switch to something else. There's a number of things that I want to get back to. Why am I blanking on it? The other modern folk embroidery one, Souls of the Dead, Spirits of the Dead. I can never get the name right. But that's one that I have a significant amount done, and I'm down in the text, and if I put in some more time on that, I'd, you know, be making a nice amount of progress. And then I also want to get back to Birds to the Boughs by Lindy Stitches. And I mean, obviously there's plenty of other ones I want to get back to, but those are kind of some of the ones that have jumped into mind lately that I've wanted to work on. I've also kind of wanted to pull out Dragons of Sumatra by Ink Circles, but yeah, things to decide. But yeah, so right now focusing on the No Time Like the Present to keep making progress on that cell, and then sprinkling in other whips that I'm working on. There's obviously plenty of other things I would like to start too, but I'm not. I'd like to see a little more progress on some of my whips before starting in on the many things that I would like to start. But I was happy to pull this idea again. Oh, another thing that I noticed, and I think I last worked on this, was it last year? Sometime in December. I know it's been a while since I've touched it. And I did look back and find where I worked on it last, and now I can't remember when that was. But just in that span of time, when I pulled this out and looked at the stitches, I felt like my stitching in this, excuse me, was not quite as neat as my stitching now. I don't know whether that's my imagination or whether there really has been an improvement in my stitching just over that time span, but it was something that I noticed, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know. Again, if it's, I don't think it's not a huge deal either way, but I picked it up and I'm like, huh, have I actually made kind of progress in how I'm doing this in just that span of time? I don't know. But those are the things that I've been working on. Let's see here. As far as other things, I think I have ideas floating in my head for things that I want to do, and we'll see whether or not they happen. Like, I'll watch Flosstubes of, folks working on various projects, and one of the things that I see people do from time to time is patterns that are temperature patterns. So like you're tracking the temperature throughout the year in a pattern. And I've seen projects like that for quite a while, not only in cross stitch stuff, but like crochet and knitting. And I think quite a few years ago, I was trying to plan out maybe doing some kind of a temperature, or the blanket or something with like crochet, and I never got around to even starting it, but it was sort of something in the back of my mind that I wanted to try. And I don't know, it's something that I'm considering, but if I do it, I sort of want to do I want to come up with my own pattern for it. And I have some ideas percolating, and I just have to really sit down and sort of map it out and figure out what I want to do. And I would be doing this, I would come up with a pattern that I could use for next year, for 2025. And so if I do this, ideally what I would like to do is sort of plan out the sort of the main like outline and stuff of the pattern, and then the part where the temperature stuff would go in. I would do sort of everything but that portion of it, so then once next year starts, I could focus on just doing the part of adding in the temperature areas, which I think would maybe motivate me more to finish something like that if I had the bulk of it done and I was just waiting to add in the temperature portions. And then I could do that maybe like weekly or every so often, sit down and just do the portion that needed to get done as far as the temperatures. And I'm trying to figure out, because I know there's other variations you can do as far as, whether it's the high temperature and the low temperature, or kind of how much kind of info you have as part of that. So I don't know, it's ideas in my head, but I need to sort of sit and think about them and decide what I want to do. Some time ago, I had this was last year sometime I did purchase wind stitch, and I haven't played around with it too much yet. I kind of play around with it now and then, but haven't invested a whole lot of time to really kind of figure out how to do everything on there. So once I sit down and start kind of planning things out, I would be using that program and fiddling around with it and trying to figure out how to get that to work. So let's see, what else? I haven't worked on any crochet I haven't worked on my crochet blanket myself, you know, in these past few weeks, just because I haven't felt like it, and it's just for me, so it doesn't matter. But one of the things that came up recently was I was talking to my mom, and she mentioned that she was considering trying to get back into crocheting, which was this was a surprise to me. Many years ago, either before I was born or when I was very young, she was taught how to crochet by a coworker, and so growing up we had a few kind of Afghans around that were things that she had made, and then she didn't do it for years and years, and then when I started to crochet, there was a period of time when she thought, oh, I'd like to, you know, get back into crochet. But my mom is someone who is very hard on herself, and if she doesn't pick something up immediately, she gets frustrated and just doesn't want to do it and thinks she can't do it. So although she can do it because she's done it in the past, she experienced frustration, and I was trying to kind of both show, you know, help her in person as well as, you know, direct her to some YouTube videos, but that wasn't helping, and she didn't spend very long at all before she kind of threw up her hands and decided she didn't want to do it anymore. So we'll see how this goes. I have to check in with her and see whether she has gotten herself any supplies. I had gotten her just a number of years ago, back when she was trying to learn again, gotten her like a hook and a bit of, you know, yarn so that she could play around with it, you know, on her own time and at her own speed. But because of the difficulties that she was running into before, I'm thinking that maybe starting off with a bulky yarn and a big hook may make things easier, because she was experiencing frustration in really seeing where she was supposed to put the hook into the yarn. And so I have to check in with her and see whether she has already picked up some supplies for herself, or whether I should dig through what I have on hand and you bring it over to her and give things a try, because I do have a big hook that I got when I was making the bulky yarn ripple blanket that I did a number of years ago, that I've shown on here before. And I don't know whether I have. It would be nice if I have a little bit of that yarn left, because then that would be kind of perfect for her to play around with. But we'll see. I'm not holding my breath, because my mom is someone who has never really had many hobbies. Now and then she would try a few things, but like this most recent instance with the crochet, if she didn't see immediate progress and felt that what she was doing wasn't good enough, she would just stop. And so I would really like for her to, find something that she enjoys and have a hobby and, enjoy making something. So we'll see. That's on the horizon, and my fingers are crossed, and we'll see how that goes. I'm hopeful, but we will see. Is there anything else? I'm sure there are other things, and fortunately I didn't take notes before this video, and I am trying to think of what else there may be. Well, that's all I can think of for right now. So in 2 weeks, we'll have another video. Hopefully I will have made more progress on No Time Like the Present and a bit here and there on some other things, and we will see. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are working on a project while you are watching this video, I'd love to hear what you are working on. I always find that fun to learn what people are doing and look up other patterns that I may not be familiar with, or patterns that I am familiar with and enjoy. All right, so yes, again, see you in 2 weeks, and thanks for watching. Bye.